For my presentation this week, I chose Emerson Fosdick and the important role that he played in the fundamentalist modernist controversy, and also talk a little bit about his life. So Emerson Fosdick was actually a Baptist minister, but he served the First Presbyterian Church in Manhattan. Fosdick became a significant player in the fundamentalist modernist controversy, particularly with the sermon that he gave on May 21st, 1922, and this sermon was titled, "Shall the Fundamentalists Win?" Fosdick himself was definitely more in the liberal camp, and this sermon definitely followed his views. He gave this sermon believing that, many people said that his sermon was not maybe a new idea. What a lot of the news articles and research that I've read stated was that what maybe was new with him was that he was giving these views with the belief that that was going to become the mainstream and ultimately be the side that wins in the fundamentalist modernist movement. So Fosdick presented the Bible as a recording of the unfolding of God's will. He did not view it as the literal word of God. And in this sermon, he calls for tolerance within the church. He said the church needed tolerance because there is no way that the church would be able to exist with the divide that was currently happening with the fundamentalist and the modernist. And for these views to be able to coexist, the church needed to be tolerant. He described liberal Presbyterians and Baptists that struggled to reconcile modern science and traditional religious doctrine as sincere evangelical Christians. And he went on to describe fundamentalists as intolerant conservatives who refused to deal with the modern discoveries in topics like science and history, and that they arbitrarily drew lines as to what is off limits in regards to religious discussion. Fosdick's sermon was published and widely distributed. Obviously this created a little bit of an uproar and had other pastors weighing in on it. Following this, the conservative pastor Clarence McCartney, he was the pastor at Arch Street Presbyterian Church in Philadelphia, and he responded with his own sermon, which was titled, "Shall Unbelief Win?" And in this, McCartney argued that liberalism was progressively secularizing the church, and if left unchecked, it would leave Christianity as opinion and principles and good purpose, but it would be a Christianity without worship, without God, and without Jesus Christ. This ultimately led to a division with the Presbyterian Church, and ultimately in a few years after this, Fosdick ends up resigning his position with the church. One of the articles that I read was by O.B. Todd, and in this it was titled "The Sermon That Divided America." And it was an interesting article, and one of the points he made was that Fosdick's sermon helped do what the conservatives had been struggling to do, which was unite their side. So while Fosdick laid out his side for the more modern and liberal interpretation, Todd argues that really brought together the conservative side and kind of helped them with a push in arguing and responding to Fosdick's arguments. Fosdick eventually goes on to write and preach and writes almost 40 books. There's a Washington Post article that I read from 1969, and it quoted Fosdick as stating that religion is best carried on by men who see it was something that is not simply a theistic theory, but a personal experience of a presence. Fosdick opined on many issues dealing with the church and just national matters. He was a well-known pacifist, and another article that I read that was pretty interesting, with him being such a well-known pacifist, it was written right at the end of World War II, and he was talking in support of the British Prime Minister's most recent speech, and he was saying that he could find a lot of value in it, and in it was talking about how the world is united, and it says in there that we live in one world now, and we're headed together for heaven or hell on earth. So while a pacifist, he was still supporting the British Prime Minister and their cause to kind of bring peace after World War II, and acknowledging the impact that it had on everybody.